10 upcoming RPGs coming out this year that I'm most excited for in release order. Let's go ahead and get right on into this. First up, Ramono Past and Present Rediscovered, coming out digitally on the PC on May the 28th. This here is a sequel to Monochrome Mobius, Rights and Wrongs Forgotten, and it's promising to clear everything up and tie everything up in a nice neat little bow. Now, full disclosure, the only other Ramono games that I ever played was Monochrome Mobius, because the other ones were visual novels, and that's just not really my thing. However, that all being said, I still thoroughly enjoyed Monochrome Mobius, and I wasn't really lost or anything. I still knew what was going on. However, it may behoove you to play, that game before playing this game, because this here is a direct sequel to Monochrome Mobius. But again, I didn't play the visual novel games, I just played Monochrome Mobius, and I really freaking liked it. Also, the battle system is super fun, and it really channels Grandia, where you move about in this ring, and you can move from a bigger ring into a smaller ring, and then your turn comes around faster because it's a smaller ring rather than, the bigger rings. You can also cancel your enemy's attacks and knock them into a larger ring, therefore they get their turn slower. The battles are turn-based, the monsters appear on screen, and the world is massive and huge, filled with hidden treasures, side quests, tons of different stuff to do. People who are lamenting the death of the turn-based RPG need to play this. Don't just be looking out for, your next Persona, Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest. You need to look elsewhere. Look at this. This here is how JRPGs used to be. It brings me right on back to that feeling of joy and discovery that I first got whenever I was a kid. So do not let this one fly under the radar. Oh, it's Ken. Oh my god, quit calling me. Okay, sorry. Okay, number 2. Adventures of Elliot, coming out for the PS5, Xbox, Switch 2, and PC on June the 18th. Now, no offense to Ken, or anybody else named Elliot out there, but it's not exactly the coolest name around. I mean, at least it's not like the adventures of Eugene, Orville, or Poindexter. Okay, now that I've alienated half the audience, including poor Ken, who I just hung up on, this is what you guys do to me. This here looks to be Square's answer to The Legend of Zelda, but with a little bit of Final Fantasy adventure and time travel thrown in for good measure. You don't have HP or MP, you have container hearts, and you go around, you explore the world, you traverse dungeons, you solve puzzles, you use tools, and you even get helped by your little fairy friend who will definitely not betray you by the end. Yeah, we've all played this game before. We've also seen HD 2D before, but that was one of it was current-based RPGs, this is the turn-based RPGs, the strategy RPGs. This here is the first one in the action RPG style. And I played the demo on the Switch 2, and I really enjoyed it, so I can't wait to really see how the full game turns out whenever it releases this summer. Next up, we have Blue Reflection Quartet, coming out for the PS5, Switch, Switch 2, and PC digitally only on July the 30th. Okay, this here is pretty cool if I do say so myself, because the Blue Reflection games were really neat and I liked them, but they all kind of flew under the radar and they're all super frickin' rare and super duper expensive now too. However, this quartet is a comprehensive collection of 4 titles. The original Blue Reflection, the sequel called Second Light, and then console remakes of an anime game called Blue Reflection Ray, as well as a mobile game called Blue Reflection Sun. Now, the anime Ray has been condensed into a game including a new prologue and epilogue, and then the mobile game Sun has also been remade into a console game using the systems of Blue Reflection Second Light, the sequel. Not only that, they added in new character events as well as a new prologue and a new epilogue so that everything connects seamlessly together to one another. So if you like turn-based RPGs, magical girls, or just really cute, beautiful settings, then this here is one that you do not want to miss. Next up, we got Beast of Reincarnation, coming out for the PS5, Xbox, and PC on August the 4th. I've just got to say, it is amazing what happens when Game Freak gets out from under Nintendo's thumb. Yeah, the Pokemon people put this thing together. It's not janky, it doesn't look cheap, and it definitely doesn't look budget either. This thing looks like a high-quality action RPG, generally like Secret of Evermore sort of things, using real-time combat built around, dodging and timing and enemy movement and all that kind of stuff. It not only reminds me of, Secret of Evermore, but also newer games like Dragon's Dogma and Nier, rather than, Pokemon. And it takes place in a futuristic version of Japan where civilization has collapsed, and there's like this little girl. She's raised in isolation, maybe raised by this dog. She finds this dog, and then like journey together across the ruined world and just kind of like figure out what happened to it, where it all went wrong, and what's going on. The next game, number 5, Brigandine Grand Abyss Edition, coming out for the PS5, Xbox, Switch 2, and PC on August the 27th. And this one's actually coming out physically too. Huh, who knew? Anyway, I'm going crazy today. I love the original Brigandine back on the PlayStation 1, but I've just got to say, I thought that the franchise was kind of like dead and buried and gone. And, we did get, another one at one point a couple of years back, but I thought that was just kind of like an anomaly. So no one is happier than me to see that I was wrong, and this series is here to stay. Woo fricking who? This is one of those strategy RPGs that actually feels like, you're running a war instead of just like a small little squad. You're managing your territories, you're building your armies, you're recruiting monsters, and you're watching like the map change based upon how well you make these decisions. The battles are part of it, of course, but the real game is like this kingdom management layer above everything else. It's much closer to like Ogre Battle than Fire Emblem and how it thinks about its scale. It's not just like positioning your units, it's controlling an entire faction and trying to outlast everybody else who's also trying to do the exact same thing. It's really freaking cool. You don't just control, knights and horses and cavalry and archers. You control dragons and demons and wyverns and succubi and stuff, and I just can't get enough of this stuff. Number 6, Trails in the Sky Second Chapter Remake, coming out September the 17th for the PS5, Switch, Switch 2, and PC. Okay, let's talk Trails. As many of you know, my first experience with the Trails series was the Gaghar trilogy back on the PSP, and whereas those were not exactly the best games I've ever played in my entire life, yikes, whenever the Trails games came out, I was like, okay, everybody says that these are so much different from the Gaghar games, but whatever, I'll give it a shot, I'll give it a try. I lined up in front of GameStop in the morning, and I grabbed the complete boxed edition, and the rest is history. I've played them all, and I've loved them all. However, I will also be the first to admit that as the series has moved into different countries, it started to get a little bit weirder and even more needlessly verbose than it already was needlessly verbose. Shut up, you know what I'm saying? However, the Liberal games have always been some of my favorites, and the second chapter picks up immediately following the events of first chapter as Estelle rushes off to find Joshua. And his first chapter was just kind of two kids going on a simple journey around their country. Second chapter is where the world really opens up. Estelle finds out that there's actually this big bad Ouroboros people out there. There are these real villains and everything, and she's like, whoa. She learns more about the political tensions between all the countries in Zemuria, and you really get a feel that there's a whole lot more to the world out there than just the small backwater country of Liberal. And these remakes, gorgeous, completely freaking gorgeous, and I really do hope that they remake third chapter before moving on in and remaking Crossbell as well. Next up, number 7, Kyoto Xanadu, releasing sometime this year for the PS5, Switch, Switch 2, and PC. I loved the original Tokyo Xanadu. It was basically like Trails, but as an action RPG. I mean, it even had Toa in it. What more could you possibly want? Well, I'll tell you what we want. It's Dogi! Yeah, I guess they left Toa over in Tokyo because they put the big wall crusher from Ys here in Kyoto. Gotta love some Dogi, looking super hot as usual. Anyway, this is looking pretty freaking interesting and fantastic. It has this dual-dimensional battle system. and you could switch between 2D or 3D action-based combat, and the 2D side-scrolling reminds me so much of like Castlevania and Mega Man. You know, it's just a lot more my speed. Say hello to Kupo. Number one, Ken wants to bother me, and now Kupo wants to bother me. But hello, Kupo. Thank you for the kisses. Okay, so I would do the 2D mode. I would do the 2D mode because it reminds me more of like Castlevania and Mega Man, which is just something that like I grew up with, you know, those SNES platformers. But no matter which one you choose, you're sure to have a blast because this one looks like a whole lot of fun. Everybody wants me today. But you know what I want? I want number 8, Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave, releasing sometime this year for the Nintendo Switch too. I love Fire Emblem. I've played every single game in the series, mostly through emulation though, because, you know, number 1, they weren't released here in the West, and, you know, number 2, permadeath. I would rage, whenever somebody got permadeath, and I just have to, like, reset my save state, you know what I mean? But, you know, we did get Fire Emblem 7 back on the Game Boy Advance, and that really did spark my love for the series. And also now, they've really kind of toned down that permadeath nonsense. Fortune's Weave looks super cool. It focuses on these heroic games, like these like Coliseum sort of games, you know, with like intertwining stories, following different heroes, which seems to be Fire Emblem's kind of go-to. They did it with Fates, which had 3 very different routes, but it also had 3 very different price points, which sucked. Then 3 Houses did it too, but I kind of felt like that game kind of went like a little veered off. It got too Persona and not enough Fire Emblem. So I hope that they do get the balance right here. Next up, number 9, Infinite Alliance, coming out for the PS4, PS5, Xbox, Switch, Switch 2, and PC, with a to-be-announced release date. Now, you know what's better than like any old turn-based RPG? An absolutely free turn-based RPG that incorporates all sorts of other indie games into one, like an indie game adventures universe. And, you know, just because they say it's free, don't think that it's gacha, because it's not gacha. Basically, all these indie hit makers got together to create this game and developed a story of all their little heroes coming together and just kind of like doing it as like a cool, fun project for the community, and also, you know, as a way to plug their normal game, so that's why it's free. You're gonna be finding characters from Chained Echoes, 8-Bit Adventures, Quartet, Kingdom of the Dump, Beloved Rapture, Geomythica, and more, as they're all pulled from their worlds into a dead realm to face a new threat. And just like the games that Infinite Alliance is based upon, this is like an SNES-styled RPG with turn-based battles, tons of secrets, inside jokes, Easter eggs, and I think it's going to be something spectacular. And now the last one! And Kupo's so happy because she wants to go on a walk. The last one, number 10. This is going to be Tales of Eternia Remastered, coming out for the PC, Switch, and PS5, sometime to be determined. And I've just got to say, not even be this year, I really don't know. Because it might be cheating a little bit here, but, you know, so sue me, I really don't care. It hasn't really been announced yet, but it has been leaked. And it was leaked by a ratings board, no less. Yes, Kupo, a ratings board. So not just like some random Joe Schmo on the internet, it's a professional ratings board who actually, you know, had to look and rate an actual game. They don't rate rumors, they rate actual games. So yeah, this game exists. Anyway, with that out of the way, Tales of Eternia is absolutely one of my favorites in the entire Tales series. It tells the story of these 2 worlds. There's the lower world, Inferia, and then the upper world, Celestia. And you begin down in Inferia with like your little friends, and you can look up in the sky in a telescope and you can see Celestia, but the 2 civilizations don't really have a way to like communicate with each other, you know? Until one day this mysterious girl Merity crash lands down into Inferia, and it sets off a journey throughout all of Eternia. Now, I've just got to say, not only am I happy that this thing's getting remastered because, you know, it's one of my favorites, but I'm also super happy because this shows that they're not just doing like the easy ones. They're going back and they're doing the hard ones too. They're doing the 2D ones. They're doing the old ones, the ones that really freaking need it. Hell yeah for that. Thumbs up for that, of course. So that's it for the 10 best upcoming games that I just cannot wait for coming out sometime this year, hopefully Tales of Eternia. Now, what games are you looking forward to? And if you love Kupo, you have to leave a thumbs up and you have to leave a sub because you love her, and if you don't, then you hate her. So be sure to do that for Kupo's sake. Let me know all in the comments. We'll talk and chat about it, and as always, have a good day.